Save time and effort with E15 Robot Lawnmower.
Welcome to Saturday League Kickoff.
Welcome, Saturday League Kickoff, and to our viewers through Fox League, welcome to this Saturday morning, and all our listeners through the SEN network and listening via the SEN app as well. Hope you've had a great start to the weekend, and what a week it has been in the world of the NRL. It is always the game that keeps on giving, and also thanks to Eufy, who are part of the Saturday League Kickoff family. Save time and effort with an E15 robot lawnmower with through Eufy as well. As I said, AP. Thank you for joining us again in your lilac shirt. But
have I pulled it off?
No, you haven't.
I just didn't want to wear the same shirt. We did that last week, and I figured you're not wearing lilac to work.
Very rarely take it off. I know that, but well, we don't want you to take it off. But the game that keeps on giving this week again, off field. Unfortunately, as we head into these finals of the NRL. And also the NRLW. And what we witnessed last Sunday, it still took me a couple of days to get over it, and we didn't even play.
I know. I was like screaming at the television, and I'm like, I don't follow either of these teams, but it was just as good as it gets. And then you had all the drama of the Victor Radley, Brandon Smith stuff. So the game keeps on giving, Sats.
Absolutely. Now, we want you to get involved in the show like you do each and every week. Send us a text. 0457 736 736 is the number. And if you want to give us a call, we love hearing your voice. 1300 01 1170 is the name. Is the number, I should say. Whether, like we said, we get callers and texts from Darwin and Melbourne, Canberra, some from Tasmania, New Zealand, all through New South Wales and Queensland as well. So get involved in the show. Coming up on the show, well, I want to start off with a fun fact, because on this day 50 years ago, and Cam will weigh in here, Rooster Muzz, Bondi Jack, all our Roosters fans would know that in 1975, Jimmy Smith, well, we don't know, he sits between Roosters and Western Suburbs Magpies. We don't know where he sits exactly. So 1975 grand final, the Roosters beat the Dragons 38 points to 0. Now, this is the second of their back-to-back premierships.
Yep.
AP, of course, the great Arthur Beetson was the captain. Jack Gibson was the coach. The story around how Jack Gibson became the captain, Arthur Beetson became the captain. They got a specialist from America to all the players did these these profiles.
Yep.
And they sent them away, and they came back and they said Arthur Beetson is your captain. It was meant to be Ron Coote.
Wow.
And so from that point on, one of the greatest captains in the game emerged as well. But
awesome. There's
a fair bit that played around that 75 grand final as well.
Yeah, it's a story. It's sort of little known. I had the privilege of hosting the Roosters when they celebrated their 50-year anniversary of this game when they played the Tigers. They actually lost that game. But I was up on stage and I was speaking to John Brass, a dual international, one of the greats, has been involved with the commission, etc. So he was telling how on a Monday, and this is before mobile phones, where there was a phone call to his home phone and his wife picks up and it's a mystery caller, and this voice on the other end of the line says, "If you play on the weekend, I will shoot you." And they actually took it seriously. There were police involved. He had an escort to the ground.
You've got to remember back then, the phone numbers were easy.
It was literally in the phone book. Literally, they would have looked up Brass, Jay in the phone book and decided to ring up. And it was probably a Rabbitohs fan or something like that. So anyway, he's getting out of the team bus, and he's, over the course of a few days, he's sort of tried to wash it out of his mind. And just as he's about to walk up the race, he hears this voice, "Remember what I said on the phone." So he had that going through his head as he was running out. And his teammates knew about it. No one else knew about it. And his teammates actually said, when he ran out, we left a gap of about 15 to 20 metres just in case they missed and accidentally winged us instead. So they win the game, and he was so exhausted emotionally that he didn't go to the celebration. It was just so taxing, given everything that had transpired. But incredible story, and the fact that he kept his cool and played a fantastic game, and they won.
38 points to 0. Yeah, now our team in focus, and also the big news throughout the week, is going to be the Roosters. We focused on a team each and every week, and this week it is the Roosters. Of course, Victor Radley and how that all played out, which has been in the news for a number of weeks now. Brandon Smith, we're going to chat. We're going to chat Reece Walsh. We're going to also talk about Justin Holbrook, successful in being the head coach of the Newcastle Knights, where he's also played a handful of games at the Newcastle Knights, which I like that emotional attachment for a coach to a region as well. And of course, we've got to talk about and preview this weekend's matches, which is the Raiders v the Sharks, the Doggies up against the Panthers. I love the narrative around these two games. You got the Raiders and Sharks. You got Ricky Stewart, Coach Craig Fitzgibbon, 2002 grand final. And Fitzy was, of course, the Clive Churchill medalist that game. And then you've got Bulldogs, Panthers. Ciraldo knows everything about the Panthers, but Ivan knows everything about Ciraldo as well. There's all these great narratives that are coming out of the games.
And Ivan had to get through Andrew Webster, another one of his proteges, in order to get to this situation.
Yeah. Now for Lupium, our deep dive, very good friend of everyone in rugby league, Kevy Walters, the Kangaroos coach, is going to join us to talk about the upcoming Ashes tour as well. And we're going to do a poll as well amongst our listeners. So our listeners through a Saturday League kickoff, Edwards, Tedesco, Walsh. So who is the Ashes fullback and why? So state your argument. You are the selectors. We're going to tally the votes, and at the end of the show, we'll decide who's going to be the Ashes fullback.
Does Weeks get a start as a potential travelling?
You spoke about this last week. I thought he's Kiwi eligibility. Let's check on that.
All right,
because I think he is. But let's go Edwards, Tedesco, Walsh. Yeah, like I said, state your argument. Who should be the Ashes fullback? And it's not primarily on form. It's about how their role fits into the rest of a representative side as well. And you've got a short amount of time for everyone to gel. And that's the art of short-term coaching, getting everyone to be able to gel and understand what their roles are.
And Kevy has that relationship with Reece Walsh.
He does. So let's get into the Saturday Spotlight.
The Spotlight.
Now, what's your Spotlight, AP?
Sunday footy, possibly a record crowd. We had 75,000 for Bulldogs v Eels in 2009. Hopefully, with Bulldogs Panthers, we get a crowd very similar to that. It's going to be Sunday afternoon football, which I love. Hopefully, a good dry track. And a game just like last Sunday would be fantastic.
You think it will be? Do you think it'll get up there?
I reckon 70. If they can I reckon they really should. Like Bulldogs fans, it's time to get out there. Fill the stadium.
Well, Bulldogs fans will. I want the Panthers fans to be able to travel as well. I mean, this year at CommBank, it hasn't been the best location for home games, but this is a different feel to it.
Are they sort of a bit complacent too? It's just like, this is what we do every year. Like, we're just going to win every week. Why don't we just save it for next week? We'll turn up for that or the grand final.
Okay, so I'm based on that.
Yep.
I'm saying NRL, you need to make tickets to only Panthers fans cheaper than the Bulldogs fans.
What, because they've had so much success that they deserve to go cheaper?
Just so they don't rest on their laurels.
That's outrageous.
Okay? Yeah, I'm only joking. Hey, my Spotlight is the National Schoolboys Final, which is on Thursday. Canberra Park, who won every senior schoolboy and schoolgirl competition, I think, bar one.
Yep.
One of the age groups as well. So great year for Canberra Park, the school on the Gold Coast, which has produced so many great players over the years. Payne Haas, Reece Walsh, Benji, Bentio, David Feed. The list goes on. But they won again. They beat Patrician Brothers Blacktown on Thursday. I didn't think the score really reflected how dominant they were for that game. But two great schools that have also been able to unearth a lot of future NRL stars. Now, Patrician Brothers Westfield, they have the most amount of current NRL players, 31 currently playing that have come from that school as well. Keebra sit about fourth at the moment. But in saying that, Patrician Brothers Blacktown, defeated on Thursday. But I want to talk about young David Bryanton, who's the fullback for the Canberra Park side. He was given the Peter Sterling medal as well. And you can see him if you're watching on our Fox League coverage, is that you can see the photo of David Bryanton there. He's an exceptional fullback. He's been signed by the Bulldogs.
Yep. And
if you watch him play, he reminds you of a lot of a Reece Walsh, the way that his running game is. Yeah.
So apparently, because he's from Auckland originally.
Yes.
So he was sending clips of himself playing on Instagram to Canberra Park in order to get a scholarship. That's how they actually knows who he was.
Yeah.
So what an incredible life-changing moment that is, and how social media can change your life for the better.
Yeah, some tremendous players out of both those sides as well. The 5'8", Justice Lowndes, who people who listen to Sports Day throughout the week, I love everything about this kid. the way that he plays. He's got a lot of Isaiah Katoa about him. But some really good performance throughout that game. So well done to both sides, but also that competition, which just continues to be a breeding ground for the NRL as well. And you can join us anytime, like we said, 1300 01 1170 is our open line, and also our text line, 0457 736 736. We've already got some votes for, based on not only just their form throughout the year, but what they bring to the side. Tedesco at fullback, Teddy fullback, got Walsh on the bench as well. So Dylan Edwards, reading today, it was actually in your masthead, Sydney Morning Herald, about Dylan Edwards is playing this final series to really try and keep that number 1 jersey.
Well, Tedesco's going to be the Dalian Player of the Year. It'd be an absolute shock if he's not. And then you see what Reece Walsh produced within 15 minutes. Like, there's not another player on the planet that can do that. So,
but again, at rep level, does he come in there and play that same style, and everyone will be able to feed off that? Yep. Not quite sure. That's what Kevy's got to weigh up, and that's going to be great to talk to him and see how he gets the cohesion going and everyone gels. Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about our team in focus, the Sydney Roosters. Let's start off with that, because there were no games, of course, across Thursday and Friday night to dissect, and let's focus on Victor Radley, and we'll talk about the club and where they're heading 2026 and onwards, because I think it's a very good future for the Roosters. They very rarely try and do any sort of reform or realignment. For them, it's just about continuing to get better as quick as possible. They're bold in everything they do, and that's what I admire about the club. But when it comes to Victor Radley, we've seen what has been made throughout the week, where he's got on the front foot and he's accepted everything. But before that, let's go back in time, because I suppose the major focal point has been the stance from Nick Politis at the start of the year. This is on the back of Latrell Mitchell, the photo that emerged of a trip out west, and then the suspension and the fine that came from that as well. And then Nick Politis came out with a comment, and we just the words to the effect which were, it's basically a zero tolerance. Has anyone has seen in possession or photos of bending over, any sort of what would be seen to be substance, that we'll just get rid of them. Full stop. So that's the first point back there. Now we fast forward to the situation we're in here now, and we see that the suspensions that have been given to Victor Radley, AP. So do you want to go through that?
Well, first and foremost, you talk about that comment from Nick Politis. He made a ride for his back, right? So you talk about someone was going to pay a price for that, and it's not Nick Politis and it's not the Roosters, it's Victor Radley. So the going rate when it comes to a white powder scandal, if you like, is somewhere between 1 and 2 games and maybe $10,000 and $30,000. And that's precedent. So whether it be Sean Lane, Val Holmes, Mitch Kenny, yes, Latrell got a big suspension. He got $100,000 from the club, but $80,000 of that was suspended. So this is a really big suspension, which is part of the reason why the RLPA are up in arms. Interestingly, this suspension won't prevent Victor Radley from representing England. I spoke to Sean Wayne, who basically had it cleared by the Rugby Football League. So he will be representing them, but then he's got to basically be on the bench for the first 10 games. Interestingly, it gives the Roosters, dare I say it, a salary cap advantage, because they can now use that money to buy another player or to upgrade someone.
They can apply for an exemption. Because fines, if you fine someone, that's not salary cap exemption. But if someone's playing without pay, they can apply for an exemption. It doesn't mean the NRL are going to give it to them, but they can apply for it.
But even Victor Radley, as part of the agreement that the parties have come to, will donate $30,000 to charity. That's also tax deductible as well. So it's worked out okay for the Roosters. Nick Politis has copped some heat, because as strong a stance as it is, it's not what he said. He basically said he was going to terminate players who were involved in these sorts of things.
No, he said he was going to terminate them if they were caught snorting, leaning over, or doing. So there's no evidence that Victor Radley had it in his possession.
No, and it's important to say that he hasn't been charged or questioned by police. But at the same time, he wasn't able to, legally, I don't think he had a leg to stand on in terms of ripping up Victor Radley's contract. So it's sort of a very convenient outcome for all parties, where they seem to have come down really hard on him, but at the same time, they couldn't have done any more than what they have.
Exactly. Based on what he said at the start of the year, and I think it was a really good line in the sand moment for Nick Politis. Yes, it was a shot over the bow South on the back of the Latrell.
Yeah, it was a chance to jam them over South.
It's a Roosters versus South book of feuds. Enter that in. But in saying that, I think he's handled it really well, Nick Politis, in a sense that based on what he said at the start of the year, and you're saying you can't sack him, but 10-game suspension without pay equates to about $140,000, and then reportedly on around $750,000 a year. Victor Radley. So Nick Politis' quote is, for the negative attention the allegations have brought to the club, a 10-game suspension without pay. So with Nick Politis' quote over about why he didn't sack him as well, is based on his comment at the start of the year. So the option one was to sack him, Nick Politis says, but while he has brought the club into disrepute, there is no proof that Victor snorted cocaine. He hasn't been charged with anything. And he's 100% right, Nick. Yeah. I think it's been handled the right way. But now on the back of that, Victor Radley, as we said, he's got on the front foot and said, you know what, the conversation that has come to light, it's not ideal for me. Yeah. It's not ideal for the club. It's not ideal for the game as well. And his response was, I want to sincerely apologise to the club, my teammates, our sponsors, members and the fans for the negative spotlight I've brought on the Roosters. I accept the sanctions in full and will work hard to earn back the trust and respect of everyone who supports this great club. That's coming from someone who loves the club. It's coming from Nick Politis, who loves the player, who loves the club also and wants to protect the club. But I like how Victor has come out and got on the front foot and said, you know what, I own it. Yeah. And the quicker you get on the front foot and you own it and come straight through the front door, I think people are a little more empathetic and sympathetic to the situation.
It's kind of interesting too, because the Roosters were absolutely filthy when Mitchell Pearce got a really heavy sanction over that Australia Day incident where they suspended him for 8 games and $125,000. People thought that was heavy-handed. The Roosters certainly thought so and were really angry with head office for a long time. But then they've come up with something that's even stronger than that. Yep. And again, it's all unproven. There's a lot of dots being put on a page and people have connected them up. And it's funny, what has actually Victor apologised for? So legally, everyone's very careful in the way they've put this all forward.
I think he apologises for his intentions.
Well, for bringing the game into disrepute.
Yeah, but his intentions through those text messages is quite open about what he's potentially talking about. Yeah. So he's apologising for his intentions, whether they fulfilled those intentions or not. Yeah. The other flip side of that is the other people on the golf trip become guilty by association 100%. As well. But it's not the case. It's just unfortunately the world we live in. Perception. People think perception is reality, and it's not reality at all. So plenty has played out with the Roosters, but moving forward, you sometimes have to realign your club. And that's exactly what the Roosters have done here. They've gone, you know what, we've finished in the finals, we've gone out in the first week of the finals, but we've got to realign ourselves on what we stand for. Okay, because they've got this new wave of players coming through. They need to remind all those younger players and the older ones that get really comfortable in their skin at a club and in the game. They've just got to remind everyone about where they stand.
It's sort of interesting because I think they needed that reset because I think they lost their way for a while. Like you just look at some of the recruits that they went for, guys like Michael Jennings, Matt Lodge, David Fafita, who ultimately didn't end up going there, Brandon Smith. When I think of Roosters players and what they stand for, those guys aren't it. They're either Hollywood signings, they're a little bit speculative, or they've got some baggage. Yep. But when I think of Roosters players, I think of Jake Friend, Boyd Cordner, James Tedesco, Jared Warrior-Hargraves. So
Boyd Cordner, you're right. Yep. Yeah, Mitch Orbison, the list goes on, doesn't it? Yeah, they're a great club. I'm very envious of a lot of the things the Roosters do really well. They're really hard to penetrate from the outside as well. You try and get any sort of information out of the Roosters. They're a vault. They are a vault, and you got to take your hat off to them. Now, let's talk about them moving forward as our club in focus, like we have throughout the season. With a lot of our NRL clubs, I think the way they finish the season really holds them in good stead leading into 2026. Yeah. Rumours around DCE, we don't know whether he's just going to coach or whether he's going to play some playing role. Not quite sure, but the rise of the likes of Blake Steep, Hugo Savala, who really owned the side at the end of the year, the return of Sam Walker,
Nafahu White.
Luelu, the young hooker.
Mark Nawaqanitawase. No one knew that he was going to be one of the breakout stars.
The RLPA Rookie of the Year. Now, there's been these arguments about whether he's a rookie or not, even though he's been an elite athlete for a long time. But in saying that, his emergence into the NRL is taken everyone by storm. His sheer athleticism and the size of him for an outside back is going to be a nightmare for everyone for years to come. So
we can talk to Kevy about him as well and whether he figures in his calculations.
Yeah, but he's also got Fijian descent as well. So does he play a part in the Pacific Championships for Fiji?
If he misses out, but
yeah, not quite sure. 1 year remaining on his contract. He's keen to extend beyond 2026. He's already said he loves the club. He doesn't want to play against the Roosters. The only other option is him going back to rugby and playing a role in the Rugby World Cup as well. So there's a lot to talk about the Roosters off the field, but also as a Roosters fan, and we get a lot of texts coming through as well about the Roosters, and they are a very passionate fan base. So I think 2026 they're on the up.
You talk about they don't do rebuilds. They've sort of done a mini one, haven't they? Because they lost more than 700 games of experience with the guys that they lost. So
an internal rebuild.
Yeah.
Usually you go to the outside and try and recruit marquee players.
They lost the two Joeys, Manu and Suoli, Terrell May, Satili Tupanua, Luke Keary, Jared Warrior-Hargraves.
Yep.
It's very rare that they have that big a turnover, and they've done a terrific job with some of their young kids that you mentioned.
They have, again, it's not official yet, but they have gone and sourced potentially Dave Daly Cherry. But again, we don't know where that's going to play out or how it's going to play out as well. But what we do know is that they were able to blood a heap of rookies this year, which is going to hold them in really good stead. Now they've got 15, 20 games under their belt. So it's on the up for the Roosters. I think this time next year, we're still maybe talking about them playing finals football in the second, third week of finals. So let's see how that plays out. Raiders and Broncos fans, let us know what you think. Should Reece have been suspended for his headbutt?
We know what the Broncos think.
And did Hudson Young deserve the sin bin? Now, the headbutt wouldn't have knocked the maggot off a chop. We know that, okay? But was the intent there? Not quite sure. And Hudson Young, has a precedence been set by the officials now that if you, what they call taunt in the NFL, that you're going to be sin binned?
The best part is
Ronaldo Mulatalo will be sin binned in the first 5 minutes tonight, if that's the case.
Wingers are just running around doing things with impunity. Nothing can be done.
Once upon a time, a winger ran in and tried to taunt Les Davidson.
Oh, gosh.
Things weren't going to turn out really well. 1300 01 1170 is our open line number. If you want to send a text, like a lot of our listeners and viewers are, 0457 736 736. Yeah, welcome back to the show. Plenty of our listeners and our viewers through Fox League and the SCN network texting in about who they think, if they're the selectors and they've got to make a decision about the number one jersey, Edwards, Tedesco, Walsh, based on form and based what they bring to a team, a representative team in a shortened format of representative rugby league, who deserves to have that number one jersey? Does James Tedesco want the number one jersey? Has he made comment?
No, he'd love to. He'll play. Yeah, okay. If he got recalled for New South Wales, he'd gladly put on that jersey again. But the thing is, whoever we say now, like at the moment, we'll say, well, James Tedesco's shooting the lights out, as is Reece Walsh. What if in the next couple of weeks the Panthers progress and Dylan Edwards has a couple of big games?
Exactly, yeah. And thank you very much to Kogan. Switch to Kogan Mobile. Low price phone plans, Kogan.com. Clicking awesome. Glad I pronounced that right. Clicking awesome.
I'm glad too.
As well, yeah. Hey, plenty of things to get through to as well around some other stuff that happened throughout the week. Brandon Smith, of course, fronted court. It's been adjourned till October as well. Did not enter a plea. And I live about 3 minutes from Southport Magistrates Court on the Gold Coast.
It's a home game for you.
Yeah, so my old business office used to overlook the front door of the Magistrates Court. So I took a little drive past and I thought the Beatles were in town. There's so many people, like just rugby league fans, just nosy Parkers, and also the media. There was a massive throng of media as well. So, and this is on the back of what we're talking about with Victor Radley and that whole weekend, the golfing trip to the Sunshine Coast. Also, there's the betting text messages as well, which is not ideal. And I know that also if you're on the bench, named on a bench, and you're going to start for whatever reason, you mention it to friends and family. Yeah, I'm starting this week, and I know you're not allowed to give any information, but you're not allowed to give any information if there's any sort of betting angle that's attached to it.
But as a journalist, I've written like literally hundreds of stories of blokes that are either out, that have been overlooked, that have been dropped, all those sorts of things, and nothing comes of it.
Yep.
But if you tell a mate and he goes to Sportsbet, then there's a drama.
Yeah. So I suppose what's not ideal, and the allegations that are being made towards Brandon, is that when he talks to person A, or person B, who are not being identified,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I don't know whether they're helping and assisting police, whatever it may be. Okay, but then when there's further conversation, not about game plans or anything, but when there's further interaction after that, that's where it becomes a problem. So if I told you I was starting because you're a mate of mine,
Yep.
and then you send me a photo of 2 days later of a betting ticket where you've put on $20 for me to be first try scorer, which would usually be about $1.10 for me to be first try scorer, not. And then I start engaging conversation. I just need to stop that conversation altogether. I don't want to engage in that at all. And Brandon's greatest asset is also one of his biggest downfalls as well, is that he's so giving to a lot of people. He's too open, and sometimes it's his downfall and gets him in trouble.
But imagine that you're a rookie who's making his debut, and you're playing on the Gold Coast, and you want 50 of your closest friends and family to come up. Like, they need time in order to take time off work, to book tickets. Like, so you tell one person, and then they tell someone else, and then it's sort of Chinese whispers, and it spreads like that. Like, I feel for the players.
Yeah, so a lot to play out there when it comes to Brandon Smith. And that is adjourned till October 9 as well. Now, South Sydney and Wayne Bennett and Blake Solly, they've been very silent and supportive on the situation. And that's the only thing you can do. You've just got to let it all play out.
Yeah.
You've got to let the legal formalities play out. And also, Blake Solly's been around the block a few times. He knows how this, how it potentially could play out. There'll be all these scenarios they're going to have to make a decision on the way that it does play out. And on the other side of that, Wayne Bennett has a policing background. He understands the situation better than most. He understands the players as well. So there's a lot to play out there for South and how that plays out for them.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about the golf trip where all the players were there, and there's almost guilt by association, which is unfair, right? You don't want to tarnish anyone. But can I ask you just this, Sats, just from your playing
I don't know the
days,
questions their partners have been asking them on the back of all this.
Well, have you, as a player, been in camps or trips away where certain nefarious activities are happening, and you're
100%,
sitting in the corner having a green tea?
I wear it like a badge of honour, and I'm maybe part of the minority. I'm not quite sure, but I've never touched a drug in my life and never would. But yeah, I've been in situations when there's players that are, and not so much in my club. There'd be players from other clubs that'd be doing it, they live their life, and I don't agree with it, but it is what it is as well. So, I'm pretty harsh when it comes to drugs in sport as well, whether it's performance enhancing and illicit. I know it's a societal thing, and people like to use the excuse, it's going on in society, but a lot of people in society aren't being paid a hefty fortune to play a game that they love, and
a lot of people in society can't afford to buy the drugs that NRL players can afford to either. Yes, it's professional sportsmen can get really carried away with themselves in the bubble that they live in as well. So they need a reality check now and then. And so I know what's going on in society, and everyone says in rugby league that they shouldn't be a role model. Well, they need to read the terms and conditions of their NRL contract, where it basically says that you have to be an upstanding citizen to play in our game. So it's as simple as that. Reece Walsh, he avoids a headbutt suspension. $3,000 fine with an early guilty plea. He shouldn't have been sin bin for what looked like he was trying to wind up to do a petty headbutt. I mean, a headbutt is when you really you wind back. A proper Liverpool kiss.
Yeah, you kink your net back and you just launch into a headbutt. So I wouldn't class it as a headbutt per se. Were the intentions there? I think there are the intentions for his head to get under the chin of Hudson Young, which we see a fair bit of.
Well, the intention from Hudson Young was to elicit a response, right?
Yes.
He wanted to provoke him, and he took the bait. And yet Hudson Young finds himself in the sin bin alongside Reece Walsh. Like, what has he done wrong? And people have said, what did you say to him? And Reece Walsh, after the game, jokingly said, you called me a weak-gutted dog. Well, Hudson Young didn't say a word. He just laughed when he dropped the football. And then Reece reacted. And Reece had the red mists on because as he was leaving the field, he also flipped the bird to certain fans or whatever else. So
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I like these players. Some of them like to play villain.
Yeah.
And it's an emotional scene as well.
Well, Paul Gallen was that bloke. Reece Walsh is kind of that polarising guy at the moment.
That's what we love about the game. That's the emotions. That's part of the game that we love. That, if he flips the bird and he sends the Raiders fans into this, this
just don't do the quad.
Delirium state. I don't mind it. And what Reece does really well is he feeds off that energy.
Yeah.
The best thing the Canberra Raiders fans could have done is just gone into total silence
Yeah.
and not acknowledged him at all. And we know that's not going to happen in professional sport, but he feeds off that. And we saw the response that it got when he got back out on the field.
Yeah. I think the media have to be really careful what they wish for as well, because a lot of the time we lament that there's no characters left in the game. No one's allowed to show their personality. And as soon as someone does, we jump all over them.
Yep.
I love what Reece Walsh is doing. You can keep the toilet water bit, but everything else is really good. I love that he engages on Instagram. He does things that are different and he backs it up. There's no point doing all that stuff and then coming out and then wetting the bed. He actually performs every week.
Now, no, Walsh shouldn't have been suspended. Sin bin was sufficient. Morgan Smithies, ironically, from Canberra, intentionally headbutted a Tigers player a few weeks back. He was in possession of the ball, actually, when that happened. Very multitasking it was. Missed out on the field goal and by the bunker, only got a fine, Chris. Yeah, so, I don't think he should have been suspended. I do think, like we said earlier on, I do think that Ashley Klein has set a precedence with this. If it doesn't continue through the week, it may stop some players getting under the grill and getting into the immediate zone of players based on last week. And let's hope what Ashley Klein has done last week is going to have that effect this week as well.
It's not going to stop Hudson Young. So I spoke to him about this. I drove down to Canberra and had a chat to him. And he said, I'm not going to change the way I am. That's what I do. Like, I want to, it gets me going. It gets a response out of them. And I'm going to keep doing it. And that's great.
Yeah. Now, if I'm in public and I do something, if I slip over in the street or something and some random guy is laughing at me and taunting me and all of a sudden he gets right in my space like Hudson Young does, I can tell you now I'm headbutting in the street. So
give yourself 4 weeks and
mine would be I'd be charged with assault.
Yes.
And this is all tongue in cheek, of course. I'm not promoting violence, but I'd be charged with something, but there would be evidence that I was provoked.
Yeah.
As well. It's no different in this scenario as well. So what Ashley Klein has done, maybe it's going to stop a few people from going that little bit step too far.
We're still going to get little 6 foot yappy halfbacks and wingers all just going up to front rowers knowing that they can't do anything. There's no recourse.
I know, yeah, because once upon a time that's what would happen. I couldn't see Reece Walsh doing that to Blocker.
No, God, no.
Or Les Davidson.
No way.
Yeah. Or Peter Kelly used to say, hit him high, hit him low, hit him with the old elbow. That was his saying. Now, while we're on the Broncos injuries, every club has got a lot of injuries at this time of year. It's a long season. And you've got Billy Walters, ACL. We're going to talk to Kevy about that from a father's perspective. It's not ideal. And I saw in Sydney Morning Herald that Michael Maguire's come out and said that, if they win the comp, one of the big reasons is we want to make sure that Billy has remembered of playing a huge role of this run towards the finals. It wasn't so long ago there was a lot of people calling for Michael Maguire's head.
Oh, firstly, that was outrageous, right?
He's in the grand final qualifier.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I'm hearing Piakura could potentially be back as well.
Yeah. Piakura, Payne Haas, of course, he's been cleared of any serious ankle injury as well. Yep. Not sure whether he got a needle last week to come back on, but he was really hampered early on.
Yeah. But
whether adrenaline got him through, not quite sure, but he showed a lot of toughness. Xavier Willison, well, he's been cleared to return from surgery from a fractured forearm that he got in round 22. So you look at round 22 through to round 27, after the game, there's 4 weeks. And then you've got 2 weeks of finals. Jerome Hughes has got that break to the forearm. Now, we don't know the extent of the breaks, whether they're a hairline fracture or whether there's a clean break. If it's a clean break, I'd be I wouldn't think that he would back up Jerome Hughes. But from all reports,
I'm hearing he's a chance.
And he's going to wear the Shane Webke type Mal Meninga type armband.
Made of fiberglass.
And use it as a weapon.
Give him the old elbow.
Yeah, exactly.
Adam, the depth too. Like to lose guys like Mam and Reynolds and have Billy Walters there, and then for Jerome Hughes to be out and then have guys like Pezzett and Wishart that it can just slip in is amazing. And that's why those clubs are where they are now.
Yep, exactly. And with Adam Reynolds and Ezra Mam, apparently they ran yesterday in training. So I'm not sure about Selwyn Cobbo, but you are right. They've got a wealth of depth.
Yeah.
In their playing roster, which you need at this time of year. And not only is it just depth, it's the quality of the depth as well. For players like Dean Mariner to be left out at different parts throughout the late part of the season as well. And then when he gets brought back in, they don't miss a beat.
So can I ask you this? Like, premiership winning squad, which you've been a part of, do those players that don't play on grand final day, are they acknowledged in terms of grand final rings, those sorts of things?
I don't know. And can someone please, Stormy Daniels usually our go-to person with this, but once upon a time it was the 17 players, the coach, CEO.
Yeah.
And then now I think it's 18 coach, CEO, then the club gets other ones made up for the rest of the playing group as well.
Jonathan Thurston giving his ring to Steve Price, those sorts of things. But to get there, it's a squad, isn't it? It's not just the guys that run out on GF.
Like I look at the year that we won the comp in 2003, Colin Ward was basically our 18th man, but he played this major role. We lost Martin Lang for about 9 or 10 weeks at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And Colin Ward played this huge role in the reason why we were minor premiers and won the comp, and he didn't officially get a ring. Now, we as a playing group, and I don't think it's ever too late, it's like Craig Gow's Dally M of 2003. It's probably as a playing group, it's probably not too late for us to get together and actually get one made up for him as well. So big Walker, you deserve every accolade for that year as well. And we didn't even get into the schedule of the grand final qualifiers as well. One on a Friday night, one on a Sunday. Not ideal. We may get to that throughout the show if we get time as well. So have your say, 1300 01 1170. If you want to give us a call, please give us a call. Talk about whatever you want to talk about, within reason, of course, and 0457 736 736. Up next, we're going to chat Coach's Corner and the $5 million lawsuit against Manly as well. Welcome back to Saturday League Kickoff, simulcast live on Fox League and also across the entire SEN network and on the SEN app as well. And all thanks to DAF CF 530 mega run-out sale as well. It's on now, okay? So make sure you get in contact with to be part of that as well. Now, have your say, like Glenn from the Gold Coast has, 1300 01 1170. He wants to talk to us about the Raiders-Broncos game from last week. How are you, Glenn?
Yeah, mate, all good. Good morning, boys.
No, good morning to you,
hey, look, just a quickie. The Raiders score a try towards the end of the game.
Yes.
Awarded a try by our mate Ashley Klein, who I reckon personally is killing the game. But anyhow, we're not allowed to talk about refs. Look, he's gone and said it's a try. There's no proof in the review by the bunker saying that the ball was knocked on. The Raiders guy goes up and he hits the hand of the Bronco who was just about to catch the ball, and the ball gets knocked backwards, but he didn't actually hit of the ball carrier. And then the bunkers overturned that try. This is absolutely giving me the irks about the game at the moment. That, to me, that it should have been a try, it should have been awarded, should have just been let, and that's the game done. I don't go for Canberra, I don't go for the Drongos, all right? But I'm just surprised that they let it go. And if you watch the replay, there's no contact touching the ball from Canberra.
So that was the Jed Stewart knockback.
Yeah.
Or knock sideways, whatever it may be.
Well, that's interesting because I spoke to Jed. Yeah, I drove up to Canberra. I spoke to Jed Stewart about that, and he thought that was the game. Like, he actually still believes in his mind that it was knocked back.
But you would think that. And thank you, Glenn, for the call. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
But it's also like there was that moment, and they sort of recovered from that. But there were so many little setbacks, and they just couldn't isolate it. And look, there's a bit of pressure on Jamal Fogarty, isn't there? Just given that, like, they were up by a long way, they had several moments. He missed a goal kick that he probably should have made. They didn't set up well for field goals.
I thought in regular time, about a minute to go, he kicked the ball into touch.
Yeah.
Rather than just, and I know you don't want to give a 7 tackle set, but just be able to put a little sort of mid-range kick just to finish about sort of 7 or 8 metres, 10 metres from the try line, and just make it a little bit harder. But to be able to give like a set stop play, which is to play the ball.
Yeah.
It's whether it's a midfield play the ball, you get to split the defence, whatever it may be. It made it a little bit tougher for the Raiders to be able to close that game out in regular time.
Well, they stopped playing too.
Yeah.
Right. So it's sort of that. What has gotten us into this position? And then they started protecting their lead. And as soon as they did that, Reece, Walsh and the Broncos smelt blood.
Yeah, well, they identified that right-hand side as well, which has been leaking a lot of points.
Fogarty, yep.
And you look at Ronaldo Mulatalo, like he's down that left-hand side. That's their strength.
Yeah.
So the amount of work you would think that, and Ricky's would have put a lot of work in it this week, but you don't want to overdo it as well. You don't want to overdo the work. It's more about vision.
Yeah.
You just got to look at the vision and the body movement. Whether you're standing still with your footwork, whether your feet are still moving, whether you're reading the right play, whether your wing is coming in to try and save you, whatever it may be. There's all these moving pieces that Ricky would have had to go through in the early part of the week. Now, the biggest part for Ricky is just flushing all of it.
Yeah.
Really early. And a really good example of that was 2020 State of Origin series when they played postseason. And all the Origins were played a week apart.
Yeah.
And they lost game 1, I think it was, Queensland. And from all reports, Wayne just walked in and started making jokes. And because he had to flush it, he knew it was so important to let the players feel as though that, we can't sit here and dwell on what's just happened. We've got another opportunity to rectify it.
That's fascinating, Sats, because the coach sets the barometer, the mood, right?
Yep.
And so that happened on Sunday, and we'll get to this too. They had their Prezzo night on the Monday night, right? So they had no commitments at all until that evening. And it's the first time a lot of the players saw Ricky Stewart. And everyone was like, I wonder what Ricky's going to be like. Because there are people who are good at, flushing a loss. And then you got Ricky Stewart, who he really sees and it sort of sits with him for a long time. So he gets up, the MC sort of nervously asks him, he's like one of the first speakers of the night during the Mal Meninga medal. And they say, oh, are you feeling a bit flat, Ricky? And there's this pause. And then Ricky goes, I'll tell you what flat is. Getting a phone call from Hudson Young, learning that he's got an inflatable baseball bat in an elevator in Las Vegas. And the whole room just cracks up, and you could just feel all the tension dissipate.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, well, if Ricky's over it, we're over it, and we can get on with it. And
yeah. Morning, Sats and Adrian. Andrew from Mackay. First thing, Sats, the AM bar is gone. That's a shame. The precedent was set for the very first tackle when Klein penalised Starling for an incorrect play of the ball when Katoni Stagg scored shortly after. Yeah, that was the wrong call. Yeah, there were some others throughout that game, Andrew. And Mike has just said, you say, Sats, ring please. I've rang twice and it rings out. Well, Mike, call back because you're going to get on. I guarantee it. I'm putting some pressure on some other people there. But in saying that, let's talk about some of the coaches' corner. And the big news throughout the week is Justin Holbrook. He's been named as the head coach on a 3-year deal of the Newcastle Knights. They did form a committee. Michael Hagan was on that committee. Not privy to how in-depth they went to and how many interviews they had when it came to the head coach. But it was pretty obvious from a fair way out that Justin Holbrook was always going to be shortlisted in some way, AP.
Yeah, so we're talking about a club that's got the wooden spoon. So that's a really big task for anyone, especially if they're looking at a rookie coach. Guys like Michael Cheika are in the mix. The other thing too, and I think this is true of some clubs more than others, is that it's good to have someone who understands the DNA and the culture. I think Manly's a bit of a club like that. Like traditionally guys like Tuvey, Hasler, Bozo, they're the coaches that do best. I think Newcastle's a little bit like that. And in Justin Holbrook's case, not that he had a really long NRL career, but he only played, I think, 5 games for the Knights. And he was never going to have a long career when you're playing behind Andrew Johns as his number 7 understudy. But the fact that he's been in that system, he understands what they stand for. I spoke to him just after he was confirmed, and he said that we're going to go back to doing some things the way they need to be done. And that means developing our own talent, like actually giving them an aspiration. If you're a young player in the Hunter, we've got a pathway for you to play again. So the fact that he understands that and he's got connections with some of the staff that are there already, that put him in really good stead and probably edged him in front, and what is the reason why he's now the Newcastle
Do you
coach.
feel as though the signing of Sandon Smith, where from all reports they said, we see you as a hooker, the Cowboys are saying, we see you playing in the halves, his preferred position, but he goes to the Knights on a 3-year deal. Do you feel as though Sandon Smith may have had a bit of an inkling that his assistant coach from the Roosters, who he's got a high opinion of, and so he should, because he's a very good coach, Justin Holbrook. He took over the Titans when they'd come last, got them up to 9th.
Then 8th.
And then played finals. Yeah, you're right. And then lost his role. Now, he said he's learned a lot from that. Now, he's gone back to the Roosters. He's highly regarded. Do you think Sandon Smith signing may have played a role in it? Maybe there's some conversations going on before that. Yeah,
potentially. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it was Holbrook or anyone else. Whoever gets that job, it's going to come down to making Dylan Brown work, right?
Yep.
So that's a 10-year, $13 million investment. So whether that's Sandon Smith, whether he complements him best at hooker or at halfback, we're yet to see, right?
Yep.
But that's the big crux of it, isn't it? Everything else sort of, he has to, all the other chess pieces move around Dylan Brown.
I like that he's got an emotional attachment, like you said, to the region. He's played there previously, understands. And this is a really good point that he makes. What he's learnt from other experiences. St Helens, successful, Gold Coast Titans. Then you go Roosters, coaching one-team towns. It's completely different to coaching when you're in the CBD or when you're in the Sydney region, where a lot of stuff can really get pushed around to the other clubs, a lot of the attention. One-team towns, you've got to be really pathways focused.
Yeah.
You've got to be, most of all, you've got to be community focused. You've got to understand the importance of the community and how much the rugby league team plays to your community, whatever code it is.
Yeah.
So being in that experience, I think he's got one step ahead of a lot of other people that haven't coached at one-team towns.
Well, Adam O'Brien, and not to dwell on it because it was just a one-off comment, but he made that that remark after the fans were booing them off the field. It's like, those fans will back you no matter what if they think you're having a go.
Yeah.
And I think Justin understands that, having been in that system, having worn that jumper himself. So, and he'll be a much better coach for spending more time with Trent Robinson. He's done that previously. And the fact that he's had, I wouldn't even say an apprenticeship because he's a regarded head coach, but he's had a varied experiences in a lot of places, both in Australia and in England. So I reckon he's the guy to turn it around.
I think that and I don't know what his team's going to look like off the field, the coaching team, but I'm thinking that Blake Green will still play a really important role. He's very popular with the players. There's a really good connection because he's not long ago retired, Blake Green.
Yeah.
So he understands the playing group and the mindset as well. I think he's really important. I'd like to see Dean Young go there. Now, a lot of people think that Dean Young is an NRL coach in the waiting, and he is, based on the research you do on Dean Young. Has he been pushed back in the totem pole a little bit with Mick Innes going to the Dragons? I don't think so. They'll sit side by side, but he probably needs to be more of the senior assistant coach.
Yep.
It's a matter of how he's feeling, but I'd like to see Dean Young as the defensive coach, assisting Justin Holbrook at the Newcastle Knights. I think it'd be a good appointment. And Michael Checker looks like he may be a potential favourite to take over from Justin Holbrook at the Roosters, which I think is a really, really smart appointment. And for Michael Checker to be able to accept taking an assistant coaching role rather than thinking he could jump into a head coaching role.
Yep.
And from those that have worked with Michael Checker in rugby league and rugby union, a very good communicator, a really good connection to the players.
So you talk about their defence, but they were scoring 14 points per game. That is one of the worst attacking sides in NRL history. So,
defensively, they were very good from up until about 5 weeks before the end of the season.
And then they knew the coach was going, and it's like sometimes like...
Well, you're pulling on a lot of players that haven't played a lot of NRL.
You can limp to the line after a long season where it hasn't gone your way.
Yeah, exactly. So plenty to play out at the Newcastle Knights. It's I think it's an exciting period. It's always an exciting period. It's unfortunate when people unfortunately have to move on. We get that, but it's the nature of the beast of what is professional sport. You've got to make decisions. You've got to be unapologetic, like I've said in the past about it, and you just got to move forward. And so well done, Justin Holbrook. A good, nice little Saturday affirmation for him. Well done on the appointment. It's going to be interesting to see what the rest of his team looks like as well, and that's part of the exciting part about trying to regenerate a club is that what are those missing pieces around it as well. So give us a call, 1300 01 1170. Mike, that's a shout out to you. And also all your texts are coming through as well. For the timing for Justin Holbrook, couldn't be better as well. More autonomy. That's what Ben says around the Newcastle Knights. So I think there'll be a lot of excited fans at Newcastle. One, because there's a change, and two, most importantly, it's a guy that spent a lot of time at the club as a player. Coming up next, Kangaroos coach Kevy Walters joins us. We're going to take a deep dive into the Ashes, his thoughts around selections, what his coaching team looks like, that and a whole lot more. So stick around. Welcome back to Saturday League Kickoff, and thanks to all our Fox League viewers, live and simulcast through Fox League, and also our SEN listeners. Did I say viewers or listeners? Viewers on the Fox League network, and also SEN listeners through the SEN app as well. And all thanks to Eufy. Save time and effort with the E15 robot lawnmower. Let's get to a couple of your texts really quickly. Oh my God, Sats, it was a knock on, and I go for the Raiders. Tell all those dribblers to watch the replay. This is giving me a headache. Yeah, exactly. I thought that it came off the fingers. I thought there was evidence.
Yeah.
And we've been calling those knock-ons all year, whether they're right or wrong.
I love that all these contentious calls, they just added to the drama and the theatre.
Yeah, exactly. Plenty of the text coming in, 0457 736 736. Our team in focus in the first hour was the Roosters. We touched on that. Plenty to talk about when it comes to the Roosters. And in the big news of the week, it was all about Brandon Smith, Reece Walsh, Broncos injuries, Justin Holbrook, the NRL head coach of the Knights for the next 3 years. And you can get the podcast if you missed it, wherever you get your podcast from as well. Just search for Saturday League Kickoff. Now, we're going to get the countdown of Saturday footy as well, Raiders v Sharks, and the Sunday game between the Bulldogs and the Panthers. Plenty to play out there, so much at stake. And we've just got Melbourne and the Broncos waiting for them in another week's time. But first, let's get into this.
It's the Deep Dive. Loopien. One app for all your pool care needs. That's Loopien. L-O-O-P-Y-N.
Yeah, L-O-O-P-Y-N, Loopien. And this week's special guest, Kangaroos coach Kevy Walters, joins us to talk all things Ashes. How are you, Kevy?
Yeah, good, Sats. How are you, mate?
Going very well. Thank you for taking time out, mate. We really appreciate it. And very first and foremost, when it comes to the Ashes, put that aside for now, but Billy's injury last week, which is not ideal, and purely from a father's perspective, how did he handle the news? I wouldn't think it'd be in a very happy way at all. What the Broncos are going through at the moment.
Yeah, disappointing for Billy, certainly. The way, he's put a great season together, both, playing at hooker and then the last sort of 6 or 7, 8 weeks, whatever it was, in the halves, really showed, his utility value as well, to the club. So, but unfortunately, he's going to have surgery on the knee at season's end. So that's disappointing, very disappointing for Billy, and also, of course, the Broncos as well.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it, Kevy, to make players believe how important they've been to a team if they do go on and win the comp. How important they've been. It's hard to make them believe that, but I know that he's played a massive role in how well they've gone this year. So, Kangaroos, the Ashes tour. Yep. How's that all coming about, mate? How's all the discussions with potential players? Getting the whole tour ready. Yeah.
Yeah, all very positive, mate. All very much looking forward. About a month out now from when we actually take off to England, so it's getting closer and moving fast. The timeline as well. So lots of things in place. There's been some train-on players named. We've also got the Prime Minister's 13 game up in Papua New Guinea to get our head around as well, which will be a mini training camp into a game up there. That's the Saturday after the grand final, or the Sunday that'll be up in PNG, that game. So that there'll be some players that are going on tour that will be in that game as well. A bit of a warm-up game for them to get some match fitness, and the physicality that the PNG boys bring will be great for their preparation overseas. So, yeah, plenty of things to still sort through and work out, but we're heading in the right direction, certainly, and we're very well planned as well.
Kevy, it's Adrian Proszenko. I was just wondering if you can tell us about your staff. Have you settled on a brains trust, so to speak, and the role that I'm particularly interested in, and I'm putting my name forward for this cultural attaché. Is that still available?
No, that's been filled, that role, certainly. Sorry, Adrian, but yeah, look, we're well on our way with all of the staff. The NRL have been working, with me, sorting through all of the staff. That's all, the medical team as well. That's all been sorted. So we're very happy with the people that we have involved. Most of the staff have been involved in previous years, particularly the medical side of it. We've got some performance staff as well from the Melbourne Storm. So they've got great experience and certainly know their jobs really well, which is really important. Even though it's a shorter tour, we've got to make sure that we get them physically and mentally prepared well for the Battle of the Ashes. Yeah.
Kevy, we know that there are lots of players that are going to be playing Test football at the end of the year that are eligible for several nations. Have you got some clarity over some of the names, like Tino, for instance, or any others? Have you got a landing point?
I haven't as yet. I've been in consultation with those guys, but I think it's by the end of September we need to submit a list to the RFL, the Rugby Football League, of about 30 names, which that team will then be selected from. So still got some time yet. Some players, obviously, some of them just recently finished their season, so they're getting their head around that. And then we expect a decision from most of those guys. Only two or three anyways. Only really Tino left. Hammer's obviously hurt his knee and he's sort of unavailable, for selection. And Payne Haas has already indicated that he'll be playing for the Samoans. So it's really only Tino's the big question mark over. But I'm sure that he'll come up with the right decision for himself and also for whichever country he selects to play for.
Hey, Kevin, I heard Mel a few weeks ago talk about how every player in their career should experience a tour to England. Now, you've been on plenty, of course, Kangaroo tours, Ashes tours. I remember, remember where you are in certain times, in certain moments. I remember I was at the Noosa Triathlon on a Saturday night, early Sunday morning, when you gave that out ball to Steve Renoff to win that game in '92, I think it was. But it was, yeah. So what does Mel mean when you've got to experience a tour to England, whether it's a tour or an Ashes tour? What makes it so special?
Well, it's just being on tour. Basically, your whole focus and your whole reason you're there for is to play rugby league and obviously for your country and to represent your country. So it's an amazing experience, as a player. And this time around, I'm going to experience as a coach. And I was very fortunate on the two Kangaroo tours and that '92 World Cup tour. Bob Fulton was our coach. I love Bob Fulton, the way he did things and the way he managed the players on tour. It's not always easy. When you got 20 on the Kangaroo tour, there was 26 or 27 players, on tour, and you got only 17 of them can play the Test football. The rest of them, play midweek games and fill in when required. So, I mean, your skills in that space have got to be very good. The way you manage players and keep them all fine-tuned into giving their best performance every week, which is it's not hard really when you're playing for Australia. You want to give your best and do your best, and that was the thing that I remember most is the friendships that I forged with a lot of those guys. I remember before the 1990 tour that Penrith players were not the top of our list from the Broncos, excuse me, as regards to friendship. And, we didn't know them very well, the Penrith guys. So Brad Fittler, Greg Alexander, Johnny Cartwright, Mark Guy were the four guys. And we got into camp and on tour, and we just got on famously. It was amazing the way that the two teams and from the Broncos and the Panthers, just collected together. And it was amazing how that all worked. So I'm looking forward to some players that are going away on tour in the 22-man squad that we're taking, forming lifetime friendships with these guys and going into battle with them on the field, but also off the field experience and, touring as a Kangaroos. It's an amazing experience.
Will it be one of those tours, you think, even though it's a shortened tour, Kevy, where you may take that player that purely goes away for experience because you know that in years to come he's going to wear the green and gold plenty of times?
I think the 22 that we select, those players will be ready to play now. We need everyone because of the the three games and just the 22 players going over. I'd expect everyone in that side to be capable of playing Test football. And there will be some younger players in there. That often happens with the tours at the end of the year, and certainly the final series of certain players and how they perform through that final series. It puts them in a huge advantage, to gain selection in the Kangaroos. Also, obviously, the Origin series earlier in the season will have a big influence as well on the selection of players. But if you can put together a great final series and a successful one under the immense pressure of finals footy, well, that puts you in a good position as well to gain selection.
Kevin, this is such a special moment, the first tour of England by the Kangaroos in 22 years. And obviously that's your full focus. You want to win. But have you also got an eye looking forward to the World Cup? That's happening the following year. It's such a big event as well in terms of your selections and everything else.
No, it'll be those 3 games. We need to focus on those 3 games and get the touring party right. As far as the flexibility of the squad to get this series, run and won over in England. That'll be the pure focus of myself and the rest of the staff. Is certainly game 1 at Wembley, really important to get out of the blocks with a good, strong performance. So that's where our focus will be more so than anything that's happening sort of next year.
We're blessed to be in a generation at the moment with so many outstanding fullbacks. We've got Teddy, we've got Edwards, we've got Reece, Walsh. What are you looking for? Yeah. Like, how many are you thinking of taking? What are your thoughts around that sort of number 1 space at the moment?
Yeah, well, those 3, it's probably the most contested position of all the spots across the 22. So, obviously they've all had great seasons. You can't sort of deny that in any way. With Dylan Edwards with his work at the Panthers, it was ongoing. James Tedesco's probably had his best season in a long time, although his level of football is always very high. So it's pretty hard to be critical of anything that James has done this year with the Roosters. And then you've got Reece Walsh, who's his last 6 or 7 weeks for the Broncos, he's propelled them into a preliminary final with his work at the back as a number 1. So we're very blessed. At the moment, I can't split them. It will be a tough decision in a few weeks' time on who we actually go with. But those 3, among others, like the fullback position in this NRL competition is a highly contested position, isn't it? Most clubs have got genuine superstars, at the back of their wearing that number 1 jersey.
Now, Kev, we're going to get your thoughts on the weekend's games. Most importantly, the one tonight where you've won a comp at the Canberra Roosters. There's some breaking news coming out of that game, which I'm going to get to very soon. But first test, 25th of October, Wembley Stadium. How special is Wembley Stadium when you get there for the first time?
Oh, it's amazing, Satch. Yeah, I haven't been there, obviously, since that 92 World Cup. Actually, I went back there in 94 with the Kangaroos. I didn't play. I watched from the stands. But that's been rebuilt and refurbished, Wembley, for the Olympics. Was that 2020 or 20 London Olympics? I can't remember what year it was. But yeah,
2012.
Virtually a brand new. 2012 was it? Yeah, time goes fast, doesn't it? Oof. So it's basically a beautiful stadium to play at. It's one of the great stadiums of the world, not just for rugby league, but for all sports and concerts and all sorts of things. Well, our players are very lucky to be getting the opportunity, to grace the fields of Wembley. It's a beautiful stadium and such a real treat for our players to get the opportunity to play there. So we need to bring our best football to that, out of respect of the stadium and out of respect of the game, and bring our best football on that first test. Yeah,
well said. Now, tonight's game, Sharkies up against Canberra, of course, at GIS Stadium in Canberra. The breaking news, Kev, I don't know whether you've heard about it, and a lot of our listeners are texting in about it as well. Ethan Strange fell ill overnight, influenza. He's been ruled out of tonight's game. Ethan Sanders has been brought onto the extended bench.
Oh.
Simi Sasungi has been named in the starting lineup at number 6. So with a young man like that who is on the radar for yourself for England, of course it won't affect him moving forward, but that's a huge out in such a crucial game.
Well, that is big news. Yeah, with Ethan Strange out of the Raiders side, that sort of I'm not sure what to say with that information, because he's been such a strong player for the Raiders this year, hasn't he? Even though he's only a youngster to the NRL, he's a go-to man for the Raiders, so that's a huge out for them. But I'm sure that Ricky and his men, he's got some good leaders there, at the club, will overcome, the loss of Ethan. Who'd you say is going to be starting?
Oh, so they've got Simi Sasungi there at the moment, but they bought young Ethan Sanders onto the extended bench, so they can make a change there along the way.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's probably, I'm not sure what Coach Rick Steele will do there, but they've certainly got a capable enough side, to win tonight's contest. It'll be a great game. The Sharks are in great touch as well, aren't they? Their form over the last 6 or 7 weeks has been really good, and they showed that against the Roosters last week. But I just feel with the Raiders crowd and what happened to them, last week will be certainly in the rear vision mirror. They can get on with things and get on with their style of footy. I feel last week the Raiders just had too many handling errors. They normally come in, between 8 and 10 errors, a game, whereas they had up around 15, which is too many at that pointy end of the season to have that many errors and expect to win. So if they can tighten up their attack and their handling, I expect them to have a win tonight, the Raiders.
Just finally, Kev, Mark Nawaqanitawase, incredible season, rookie season, depending on whether you class him as a rookie or otherwise. But is he in the mix? What have you made of him, watching him do his thing out on the flank for the Roosters?
Yes. Yeah, he's been doing some amazing things, hasn't he, for the Roosters? Particularly like, the way in the air, his aerial skills, and also the way he can finish off tries with different aspects of his game. His skill level is really high, and I feel he's accelerated his growth this year, with the Roosters in many ways of the game. Even in defence, I've seen some big improvements from him there as well on the wing. So, yeah, he's certainly, his season, you can't deny his season has been a very good one for the Roosters, and he's put himself right into contention for selection to go away with the Kangaroos, that's for sure.
Well, exciting time for you, Kevy, putting this tour together, your team and the on-field team as well. So well done in firstly getting the appointment, because we haven't spoken to you, and secondly, good luck in the upcoming tour.
Yeah.
Enjoy the footy over the weekend, mate, and that's our deep dive thanks to Lupium. Kevy, have a great rest of your weekend, pal.
Yeah, thanks, Sats. Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks.
All the best, mate.
Yeah. One of the real good guys of the game as well. So, hey, let's get to a break. And as we count down to today's do or die match and that big news coming out of the Raiders and the Sharks match. Saturday League kickoff, all thanks to DAF Trucks. Keep you moving, and that's good for business, of course. You always got to keep moving, haven't you? You can't stand still. Let's get to some of your texts before we get into a deep dive and that massive news that has been unveiled this morning around Ethan Strange, this number 6, who I thought would have possibly, well, he still can because it's regular season. I think he'll go neck and neck with Teddy when it comes to the Dally M coming down the back straight. I think Teddy will win convincingly, but I think Ethan Strange will be there pretty much every week. He would have polled votes. But the news that he has, he's got influenza. He's woken up this morning. And must be really worse for wear to be able to rule him out this early as well. Simi Sasungi has been named at the moment on the NRL website as the 5/8 replacement.
Yep.
That either means Jamal Fogarty is just going to play both sides of the ruck and they're just going to try and crash through the Sharks' big forward pack, or Ethan Sanders may come off the extended bench and Matty Nicholson, who has been brought in, drops back to the extended bench. So maybe an Ethan Sanders starts. Not quite sure.
If that happens, that's a big call for him to come in at this time of year.
Yeah, but it's a good time, isn't it? It's a good time to sell yourself to the club. Now I'm hearing Jonah Pezzett, maybe a loan deal to the Canberra Raiders next year. We've got a text here about that as well with the Raiders. I'm a big Raiders fan. I'm so proud of the team no matter what happens tonight. This is from Tom in Coffs Harbour. But if the Raiders do go out in straight sets, do you consider it a failed season? I don't think it is. I think internally they think it will be when you get the minor premiership, but they're on a pretty big trajectory moving forward. And secondly, if they do go out, do the Raiders go backwards with Fogarty leaving? And it's good text, Tom. And like I said, when Fogarty leaves, if the rumours are right that Jonah Pezzett potentially does go there for a 12-month loan deal, I actually think they could improve even further.
How'd you feel if you're Ethan Sanders? Because you left Parramatta because you felt there wasn't a pathway behind Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses, and now all of a sudden you've left and then they're going to buy someone else over the top of you if Pezzett ends up coming over there. But on the flip side of all of that, what a stage, what a platform for Ethan to come out and show that, hang on, I'm the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need to get anyone else in.
That's the thing. He's got if he does play tonight, he's got the perfect platform for them to change those conversations that are going on behind closed doors, possibly. Luke says the Raiders lost the game when Hoskins ran into Walsh's legs. If he didn't do that, no extra time, Raiders win by 2. No, they'll lose the Sharks and be out in straight sets. So
over the course of 94 minutes, there's going to be about 15 turning points. Like, there's so many different things. You can't just isolate it and say it was only one split-second decision. Yeah,
exactly. G'day, Sats and AP. Love Ricky Stewart. He should be Coach of the Year this season. And I'll just get ready to turn off his button there. Thank you very much. But getting sick of the Raiders complaining when they lose a close game, up Cronulla. There wasn't much. Was there much whinging? Probably, I suppose, about some of the results. They did get a couple of harsh calls.
Yeah, and it's sort of, they had a Raiders done to them because they've been the team that started slowly and then come back, and they've been the cardiac kids all year. So they've been on the wrong end of it. Of course, against Penrith, like that, you can imagine how up they would have been after winning that game. And now it's like, well, we have to regroup. We've had this done to us. The Panthers were able to move past it, so we should be able to as well.
Boys, how on earth did the NRL not schedule an NRLW Finals game for TV last night? What an opportunity they missed. Azza from DY. Agree, Azza. Knights v Titans at 2:30 today at McDonald Jones in Newcastle, and also the Cowboys up against the Sharkies at Queensland Country Bank Stadium this afternoon. After that, really good opportunity, actually. And the top two teams, the Roosters and the Broncos, they have the weekend off. I don't mind that finals format, especially Team 1 having a weekend off. I don't mind that.
Is there anyone? It's basically Roosters, Broncos, and daylight, isn't it?
Well, it's theirs to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But this great game, we know what it does. It sends up Cinderella stories as well. Okay, now for our Saturday preview, thanks to Kogan Preview, clicking awesome.
The Saturday night preview. Switch to a Kogan mobile, low price phone plan. Kogan.com. Clicking awesome.
We're going to get to Kenny on the Gold Coast. He says, who's your tip to win the grand final? I don't know. I don't.
That Ethan Strange news not only
changes the whole
changes
landscape.
the grand final tipping, like even this game as well. I thought this was going to be a close game already, and then on top of that, I reckon there'd be a lot of people changing their tips now.
I think based on the depth, I think the Broncos, I think Penrith, due to their experience, are just sitting in the box seat at the moment. Melbourne still haven't, and they would be saying it internally of themselves, they're not playing the best at the moment.
No one's really talking about them. They're the Melbourne Storm. They
know.
just get it done at this time of year. They always do, and we know that Jerome Hughes is going to come back, or most likely. What a comp. Exactly.
So SEN League coverage live from 7 p.m. tonight. Of course, Fox League coverage as they do, which each and every other game. Raiders v Sharks. And, could the winner of the competition come from either of these sides? Like you're saying, it does change the narrative now around the Raiders. But the Sharkies of this team, they're just slowly moving along. No one talks about them. No one gives them any credibility whatsoever. But they've got this group of players that have played so much rugby league together, so much big rugby league together as well, whether it's coming through the junior reps in a New South Wales knock-on effect cup, into the NRL now. They've played a lot of big games together. I think they'd be really happy how they're positioned.
It's interesting that teams often embody the personality of their coach.
Absolutely.
And that has happened with them at Cronulla. So Craig Fitzgibbon, no nonsense, hardworking, roll your sleeves up. And what's been interesting just this last week, because everyone's sort of been saying, we're not taking the Sharks seriously. And they've burred up a little bit and they bought into it. And it's like, well, mate, we made the prelim last year. We're a top 4 side pretty much every year. We understand that the only way that we can change the narrative and stop all of that noise is to go out and win it. And we're backing ourselves to do it. I actually like the way they've come out on the front foot.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the big news around Ethan Strange, who has scored 6 tries in his last 4 games. So you got to remember, it takes that out of the equation. They just defensively on that right-hand side, they have to be so resolute tonight to be able to shut down this left-hand side attack from the Sharkies, which is their go-to. If their front guys, their front rows and their forward pack really front end and build that massive platform, it's a really hard team to defend against this Sharks, that left-hand side.
Particularly Jamal Fogarty and
Timoko and Jed Stewart,
It's interesting because we spoke before the news with Strange being out that basically this was a big moment for Jamal Fogarty. So we know it's going to be a big moment defensively. We know he missed his assignment a couple of times last week. And it could be his last game at the club as well. Like you talk about responsibility. Next year he's got the responsibility of replacing Daly Cherry Evans at Manly. But, I think he's learned a lot from that. He talked about, slowing the play down when I spoke to him during the week. And it'll be a great experience and it'll only help him, come tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So how does it work out? So the winner of the Panthers Bulldogs goes and plays the Broncos Sunday afternoon next week. And the winner of this game tonight goes on to play the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne as well. And that whole schedule route thing, I know Sunday afternoon is, well, that's the blue ticket item, isn't it? The Sunday afternoon footy.
Yep. Well, we've seen that. Like we know that there's going to be potentially up to 70,000 fans tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the greatest Sunday afternoons of all time, sitting on my couch, watching athletics into boxing, into rugby league, and one of the greatest rugby league games of all time. I like the Sunday afternoon footy. It's fast, it's dry, expansive. I love it.
I love it as well. I do like the week off before the grand final. You have a 2-week run in and you can market promote as much as possible. Anyone with a HIA has the ability to get over that. Anyone with niggling injuries. So I think you get everyone coming into the grand final as fit as humanly possible at this time of the year. But that's never going to happen.
I don't know what I'd do with myself waiting for the grand final for 2 weeks. I think you lose a bit of momentum.
Well, the week before, you could have NRLW finals, you could have Queensland Cup Grand Final, New South Wales Cup Grand Final. There's plenty of footy to be played. It's just a matter about the scheduling and whether the NRL would be willing to do it. I think the AFL will go that model. They'll, instead of doing last round week off, they'll do grand final qualifiers week off.
Well, they've got for the first time a star player missing a grand final through concussion.
Yes.
So, but you can never, I just don't think you can ever plan for those things. It might be a 2-week injury or a 2-week concussion. And if you're suspended, it doesn't matter if there's a week off, you still miss the game. Steve
from Melbourne says, enjoy watching the show, guys. A great program on a Saturday morning. Thank you, Steve. And that's our aim as well, to talk everything rugby league first thing Saturday morning. Even though there's no games over the last 2 days, we have been throughout the season covering those games. Now, let's look at Cronulla really quickly because, again, no one really talks about them because, one, I don't think they're expecting them to go any further, but I think they're a really dangerous side. They're really well coached. They've got this great core playing unit, group of players that have played a lot of rugby league, like we said together. They've got a really good balance of big man and fast man, and Britton Nickera coming off the bench last week. I thought he lifted the barometer for the Sharkies. But also the bench for Craig Fitzgibbon. If Brayley goes down, the way that it looks at the moment, there's Sifa Talakai who can play centres and back row and play in the middle if he has to. But no one there if a half goes down. So you would think automatically Blake Brayley would go to the halves, but you don't want to take him out of a position where he's been so dominant for the last 7 or 8 weeks. So I'm thinking if a half does go down, a Hines or a Trindle, that they'll probably just put another forward into that 5/8 position. Like Canberra have named Sasangi for tonight at the moment, and they'll just, one half will just control everything.
That's that sort of Greg Bird at 5/8 sort of. That's the blueprint, isn't it? Just a running. There'll still be a running threat. What I love about the way the competition is shaping is that basically every year, but this one, it feels like anyone outside the top four is wasting their time. That they're cannon fodder. But it actually feels like the Sharks could go on a run. Panthers, like everyone's looking in their rearview mirror. Like everyone's worried because they've got all the experience, all the players. This is probably the strongest Panthers side that they've named as well for a long, long time. So it's all coming together for them.
Aaron from Helensburgh says, who is more likely to beat Melbourne in Melbourne next week, the Sharks or the Raiders? Fully fit. I'd say the Raiders.
The Raiders have probably got the game.
Well, they play that unpredictable offload style. They'll use the ball. Early in tackle counts, which sort of, you got the ability, really good defensive sides. If you can play unpredictable and off the cuff a little bit and use the ball a little bit more, it sort of stifles their rigid defence.
The only other team that can outgrind them that's still in it is Penrith. Because they go the 480 when it comes to the arm wrestle. But you've got to do something different. You've got to throw something different at the Melbourne Storm to break up that.
Now, I haven't forgotten about Atkinson, Craig, Callum on the text line, because he's actually 18th man at the moment. Do they bring him in or not quite sure? But he's not actually named in the 17. That's why it was surprising that he wasn't named in the 17 to cover that halves position as well. So plenty of matchups. We've got Fogarty up against Hines. We've got Papali'i up against Fanua Blake.
Oh, mama.
And it's basically Papali'i and Tarpany up against Fanua Blake and Rudolph as well. Toby Rudolph. I loved after he scored that try last week. He's one of the great characters of the game, and he can back it up as well. He's that circuit breaker amongst the team. But I love how he said, I'd love to be able to live in this moment for an hour, a day, a week, whatever it may be. But he can't because we've got to move on. But Toby, what we can tell you that if and when the Cronulla Sharks go on and win the comp, your try will be talked about for years to come. So well done. Hey, up next, we'll preview tomorrow's blockbuster, the second semi-final with the Dogs up against the Panthers at Accor. And let's get to some of your texts as well. Welcome back to the show. And all our viewers through the Fox League and also our listeners through the SN Network, and all thanks to Kogan as well. I bought a TV off Kogan once. Still going strong 4 years later.
How big is it?
It was, I shouldn't say this, I'm not big on inches. When it comes to TVs,
Thanks to Kogan.
it was 80 something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we got, 85.
Yeah. So still going
Outstanding.
strong in the bedroom. The TV is going really strong in the bedroom. The 80 something inches. Switch to Kogan Mobile, low price phone plan, Kogan.com. Clicking awesome as well. Let's get into the second game with the Bulldogs v Panthers. 4:05 kickoff tomorrow at our Course Stadium. As you said, everyone's expecting a massive crowd, could break the record. I'm apprehensive about that. I don't think it will break the record, just purely because of Parramatta's run. I think Timmy Manar scored a try that game.
He did.
He did.
One of the greats.
Yeah, the
of
line
that
of
storied
Lebanon.
run. That's when Jared Hayne was absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
And I hope come out Panthers fans as well. I'll tell you what was really cool. I was at the last Bulldogs home game, and the entry music is Joker and the Thief.
Yep.
And then they actually had Wolf Mother, which was such a cool thing to
nice.
do, like for a club game. It wasn't even a finals game. And they were doing it, they literally were playing it on stage as they were running out. Very
nice.
good.
Love it. Now, 4:05 is the kickoff, like we said. 3 p.m. coverage on SEN League and also Fox League, as we said, cover all the games as well. So the team at SEN League will be covering this game live from a Course Stadium. I don't know how to read this one. I mean, we've had some text messages here about Stephen Crichton. Do you think he will play? Now, when you look at the lineups, I think is he in jersey number 23?
Yeah.
Now, historically, anyone in team 20 in jersey 23 at the Bulldogs ends up playing. So Stephen Crichton, I would be surprised if he plays. He was always going to give himself every opportunity to play with that lower leg injury as well. But I'm surprised if he plays. But in saying that, I actually like the makeup of the team. I like it with Sexton at 7. He brings something to that team. I can't put my finger on it. I think he brings an energy. I think he plays the core skills better, the basics, which is running straight into the line and delivering better opportunities for his players. I think he does that well for this team. Lockie Galvin, I don't think he's going to be able to stifle a lot of the other players. And I think Toby will take over. And Matty Burton and Bronson Sherry in the centres. Burton will play left. Sherry will have to switch to the right. It's a really good lineup. I don't mind it.
A million words have been said and written about Galvin and how he's played and the continuity and flow and stuff.
Yep.
Is this their best lineup, as you said? Obviously, you know Stephen Crichton, but would you even keep? I don't know. Like you can't even if Crichton's back. It's not like one of the other centres is going to have to go. Like it's. I don't know. I just think about what that configuration looks like if they get through this game.
See, it's funny. We've got a text here saying, if Critter plays, who do you drop off the Dogs bench? Kel from Lithgow says.
Yep.
And it's a hard one because I think Reed Marnie should start purely from a defensive point of view.
Yeah.
I think he connects and interacts with the other guys in the middle probably just through experience. And that's not a slide on Bailey Hayward as well. But if you put Bailey Hayward on the bench, you've got Kurt Mann and Bailey Hayward who are playing much the similar sort of role as well.
Yep.
So it's a tough one. So if he does play, I think you drop Reed Marnie off the bench.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't play,
You start.
I start Reed Marnie. It's weird, the game of rugby league. Let's look at this Penrith side as well. I love, I think that Luke Summerton has been named, and he's always been really good when called up into first grade, into NRL. I still think that Mitch Kenny will potentially play. Had a slight hamstring strain, and usually grade 1 is around a 2 weeks sort of minimum. Depending on the age of the player and whether they've had history as well. It wouldn't surprise me if Mitch Kenny plays. If not, Luke Summerton will start. But I love what's happened with this left side. Blaze Taulagi, Casey McLean, and also Paul Alamotti, which was once Milky Jenkins as well. They formed a great combination throughout the year, which comes down to great coaching. What I love about this is it's the whole Cameron Ciraldo, Ivan Cleary, I know you know me, but
There's no trick shot. There's nothing that they can pull out and just go, I've never seen that before, is there?
Or is there?
I don't think there is.
Hey?
I just think they know each other so well.
Yeah.
I look at the packs and just the standout for me is Moses Leota. Like at this time of year, he just goes to a totally different level. And you think about Max King, he's a guy who's trying to get there.
Yep.
And he's had his first taste of State of Origin. We talked to Kevy. I'm sure that he's on his radar. But this is a chance to actually say, I'm absolutely elite. I deserve to play for my country. I can stand up in big games.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're a team going into big finals and big matches, and you look across the dressing shed when you're getting ready for training throughout the week, and then when you're out on the park and you see the composure of your number 7, everything around finals, which can get really, really frantic, changes when you've got a player like Nathan he's just used to playing this style of this time of the season. I think he thrives on this part of the season. I think we see something different from him.
Something different. Yeah.
Well, when I say different, we saw it last week, and you may sit back and watch it, but the way he dismantled the Warriors just purely through his smart kicking game.
He kicked them to death.
He did, and it can get quite boring just as a viewer, but as a teammate, you can see it unfolding in front of you.
But it's sort of funny, like he was toying with them. So he'd kick on the 3rd tackle, and then they're thinking, okay, we've got to drop back early, and then they'd run the football, and then there'd be opportunities that wouldn't normally present themselves. There was the kick that found the sideline that sort of skidded along the ground. Like he's got an answer for everything.
Exactly. We've got some confirmation here I think it's Michael saying that confirmation Crichton is out. I'm not quite. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard
confirmation?
it yet,
Okay,
no.
Might have come while we were on the show. Boys, the ghost of Changa lives on in an unfit player who shouldn't be playing. This must be the grand final for the Doggies if Crichton plays. Gaza. It's a good point. Well, every game from this game on is a grand final as well. Yeah. So the NRL physio is reporting that he is out, and we'll just get you to turn that button off. Thanks, Raddy. Thank you very much. The NRL physio is confirming that he's out as well. So, it would have surprised us that he played.
It's a big loss, though.
Yeah, it is. He's not only the best centre in the game, he's one of the best
Captain.
top 5 players of the game as well. So you're losing a fair bit. And does it take a fair bit out of you as a team? It does.
It does, but they've basically known that this is going to happen.
Yeah, you know it's going to happen, but you're still like, if Ryan Girdler didn't play, it's going to be harder to win without him, if that makes sense. Without Stephen Crichton, it's just as a squad, you say to yourself, well, we're going to win and we're going to bring him back next week. But there is a party that also says, hey, this isn't ideal. Yeah, we've got some great replacements, but it's critter.
So if you're the Bulldogs, so you made the first week of the finals last year, you made the top 4, you finished 3rd, and you deserve, a home final. Is this a fail? I don't know if fail's the right word, but are you disappointed? Do you sort of say that's a pass mark? Do you think we're going to be better next year because, Galvin will have a pre-season? We're going to have
Leo Thompson.
I was going to say, that's the X factor they don't have in their pack at the moment. He's going to make a massive difference. But how do you feel as a Bulldogs fan? Are you sort of content or are you disappointed?
Well, as a Bulldogs fan initially, I think you're disappointed and you're angry if they don't win a grand final or even just make the grand final. But I think when you take all the emotion out of it, I think you realise they're just heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
And, Gus and Cameron Ciraldo have been really clear on this.
Yeah.
That it's going to take a long time. You've got to be bold in your statements, but you also got to be humble in your realistic ambitions of where you're going to finish up. So if you finish in the top 4, you should be disappointed not to at least make the grand final.
Yeah.
But in saying that, if you can retain all your playing group and add some class to it as well, it's a pretty good looking 2026.
Well, you've got to think about where they were 4 years ago. They didn't have a sponsor. They had political infighting. Like there was, Gus hadn't arrived at the club as yet. Like it's a very different squad. Like they've doubled their membership. They've got twice as many people coming to games now. That club has done a really good job.
Amazing. So let's talk about matchups. Oh, Moses Leota, you mentioned him, 200th NRL appearance, and that first clash last week between both he and James Fisher-Harris, I loved it.
So good.
It was so good. And
they're best mates as well.
I know, arguably, what grand final was it, the Broncos, 2020?
Or even the
3.
At 22 against Parramatta, like he just destroyed them.
Yeah, the first 20 minutes. I thought 2023 he was, if not overall, over the entire game, he was the most dominant. Nathan, they don't win without Nathan in the last 15 or 20. So when the big moments come around and the big games come around, the big players, they stand up. Matchups, well, it's Toby Sexton thrust into the starting lineup up against the Master and Nathan Cleary. You got Burton and McLean. You got Carraz up against Toto. You got Jacob Preston up against Liam Martin is up against Viliami Kikau. Vili on the left and Liam Martin on the right.
You talk about matchups. I want the matchup of Burton's left boot against Dylan Edwards, who's been a little bit shaky the last few weeks. just put it up, hoist it. I'd love to see him go for those big spiral jobs. And then, of course, Jacob Kiraz, we had Kevy on. He's probably at least in the conversation for a Kangaroos touring jersey as well.
Well said, well said. Now, just download the SEN app from wherever you get your apps from, the App Store, the Google Play Store, and you're listening to Saturday League Kickoff. Thanks to Eufy, Kogan, and Daft Trucks. And I can't believe we're doing this, but when we come back, we're going to give some appreciation to wingers. Welcome back to Saturday League Kickoff, simulcast live on Fox League and also SEN Radio across the entire network. And we're going to get time for our Temper Sleep Well player.
Sleep well. A great night's sleep, night after night after night. That is the difference.
Now, usually,
the difference is temper.
The difference is with temper on this segment is we're talking about a player or a coach that would have slept well from the Thursday or Friday night games. And with no games on, who would have slept well? Well, I know Peter Norman, the coach of the Canberra Park team, would have slept very well. Toddy Carney, an assistant coach, he had his fingerprints all across that team when it comes to the way they transfer the ball. It's really interesting to watch. So he would have slept well. Peter Norman on Thursday night. But who on this occasion now, seeing there's no games Thursday, Friday night, we're going to talk about maybe a player or a coach that has prepped well, would sleep really well knowing that they've got all their preparation right. So who would have slept well for temper?
So that person for me is Nathan Cleary. Like when I think about someone who has done everything in their power to prepare, and it was interesting, I talked to him once and he had a dog called Kobe. It was named after Kobe Bryant. It's about that Mamba mentality where everything is about performance. It's the mindfulness. It's about the preparation, leaving no stone unturned. And I think for that reason, he's the perfect guy in this situation. They've been up and down this year. They were coming last after 12 rounds, but he's that sort of process guy who would just keep sticking to his process. And when he puts his head on the pillow for temper, it's going to be like, I've done everything in my power. When I wake up, I know that there's nothing more I could have done.
I'm led to believe, and players have got all this access now to basically every play that has happened throughout their games, every other game in the competition, every round. The access is amazing. And from all reports, he just sits and just studies his game, the opposition's defence, all the different rhythms in parts of their game and different parts of the field. It's just, you got to be, he's just obsessed by it.
The hard part for him has been, because I think he's put more into the mindfulness and the mental side of things, as opposed to he doesn't need to kick 5,000 goals at training each week and he's actually had injuries as a result of overtraining, where he's had to, and that's been really hard for him. He wants it so bad, he's had to pull back, and he's worked on those other aspects, the preparation, the mindfulness, and it's been paying off.
Yep. Well said, well said. Now, on the text line, 0457 736 736, we put a poll at the start. Edwards, Tedesco, Walsh, based on the Kangaroos, the form and what role they'll play, based on right now, if the team was picked today, who's your fullback? So 10% Edwards, 10% Walsh, 80% Teddy.
Wow.
Has been the poll as well.
I wonder if we conduct that same poll after grand final day, and if Reece Walsh shoots the lights out.
Or Dylan Edwards.
Or Dylan Edwards for that matter, whether someone changes their mind.
Morning, boys. Up, Cronulla. We have to go with the week off before the grand final with concussion rule now in place. Imagine if Penrith didn't have Cleary 2 years ago. Kevy is still the Broncos coach, Fitzy says. Wow. I forgot about that, actually. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, now it's time to give some wingers some love. I can't believe
Winger
I'm saying
appreciation. Turn up the volume. Turn up the flavour. Wings, beers and sporting glory. Only at Winghouse.
Alan on the Gold Coast also says, thanks, guys. The knowledge, the research, analysis without arguing as well. Thank you very much, Alan. Hope you're having a great weekend. Wingers appreciation. Praise your favourite winger. Really? Praise your favourite winger.
You're struggling with this, aren't you?
Did Matt Rogers get this segment put in? He wants appreciation for wingers all the time. So Mulatalo, he is the ultimate competitor.
Yeah.
Sione Katoa, who gets sort of, with all the fanfare around and the amount of action that Mulatalo brings with his, with his being lippy and getting under under the grill of his opposition players and the way he celebrates. Sione Katoa sort of gets lost in the amount of great work that he does. Jacob Kiraz is just, like you said, he's shot into representative calculations. Brian To'o, I think he's the greatest winger we've ever seen in the game.
I think that we haven't given him the love that he deserves lately, have we? Like, and it's that
whole, like you said earlier, we're just used to him doing.
If he doesn't run for between 200 and 300 meters, he's had a terrible game. Like we don't have a winger who's an immortal.
Yep.
Like, is he in the conversation? Like, if we have to put a winger in,
I always thought that Kenny Irvine should have been named an immortal purely because of his try-scoring record,
which is about to go. Does that?
Well, but it's taken this long. For someone to even get near it. I know there's been others like Beaver and Billy and those, but to be within single figures away from it, I mean, that's pretty special. But to be able to hold it that long, I thought Kenny Irvine. I've got no doubt Brian To'o will be an immortal one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
My
father will turn and my dad's ashes will reform.
He'll haunt us.
Yeah.
We're talking about wingers, and I've got to thank you for this. So I had a long drive back from Canberra, doing a road trip and putting in my mileage.
Yeah.
I thought, what am I going to do with
I know
myself?
where you're going to go here.
I needed a podcast, and I found it really difficult to find something. I'm not really into the true crime as much, and you tipped me into the Montoya's podcast.
Marcelo Montoya and Taylor, his wife.
Oh, it was so good. Like, I almost drove off the road laughing a couple of times. It was so fun, and it reminds me. It's like I'm listening to me and my wife.
It's
talk
easy
to
listening.
each other.
She talks about how often she washes her bras, and how her and her family shared the same towel.
I'm actually interested in the life of a winger.
I know.
As well.
One of the funniest things from that was when Marcelo Montoya was saying, "I don't see the idea behind cheerleaders. Why do we need them? No one goes to the game to watch the cheerleaders. I think some do." But and then his wife Taylor says, "What are you talking about? You're a winger. You're literally 2 steps away from the cheerleaders." It's great. I love listening to it. If you haven't listened
on the show,
so we're going to get Kat, a very, very capable person here behind the camera. She's going to get Taylor on next week. Hopefully.
That would be so good.
I just want to hear her carve up Marcelo. Hey, he's a great player too, and coming back from injury. Hey, thanks Kevin Walters for coming on the show. Much appreciated. We're sorry we don't get to all the text messages. We get probably 300 or 400 a show, and we try to get to them, but there's so much going on in the world of rugby league. But thank you for interacting with the show. Enjoy finals footy across the NRL and the NRLW.